Hi, Cherilynn. Thank you so much for taking our time and talking to us. Hello, everyone out there. Thank you so much again for joining us on Sprouts LinkedIn Live. I'm Avi. I'm the co-founder here at Sprouts.ai. We are an AI-powered go-to-market intelligence platform. And along with me today, I have Cherilynn. And we are going to talk about the ultimate sales playbook, how to close fast and big. Very exciting topic. A brief intro about our stellar speaker, Cherilynn. Very excited, Cherilynn, to have you today on this show. Just to tell you, she has like 30 years of experience as a Fortune 500 global sales executive and is deeply invested in empowering women. Additionally, she has held many leadership roles where she was responsible for managing large teams and significant revenue by implementing a lot of customer success strategies. So, Cherilynn, thank you so much for taking our time and talking to us. Super excited to have you. Uh, Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Avi. I'm thrilled to be here. Yes, as you mentioned, I have been in sales for a long time. I like to tell people I've been in sales since before Girl Scout cookies were 50 cents a box. So
Uh-huh.
everybody in the United States knows that Girl Scout cookies this year are $7 a box. So a
Wow.
long time. And I'm on a mission, as you mentioned, to
Mm-hmm.
empower 1 million Black and Brown women by 2030.
Lovely.
The reason why I focused on this is because early in my career, I
Mm-hmm.
discovered that so many women like me, we either lack the financial fluency, the executive presence, or the access to get there. And so I
Yeah.
spend my days coaching and training women to be too good to be ignored.
Yeah. That's pretty noble, and would love to support you in whichever way we can, Cherilynn. Consider us as your supporters.
I
Uh,
appreciate
but
that. And inviting me on to speak here on LinkedIn Live allows me to amplify my voice. And I
yes.
want to invite anybody that if first of all, I invite anybody to connect with me on LinkedIn. But if I
Mhm.
mention something and you want to learn more about it, I have handouts for all the concepts that we're going to talk about. Just message me on LinkedIn and I'll make sure that those get sent to you on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Got it. Got it. Cool. So let's quickly dive into the Q&A.
Okay.
Cherilynn, uh, why don't you just give us a quick overview of your professional journey? Like what led you to start with sales, right? Like it's not very straightforward to join sales, right? So what made you to, join and got your interest into sales? What were your key milestones in this entire professional journey so far?
So my father had his own general contracting business, and I used to work with him when I was in elementary school. And I
Mhm.
discovered by working with him what it was like to build relationships with clients and helping them solve problems. So yes, he was solving their expanding their home or adding a kitchen or their bathroom, but people do that because they had a problem, something they
Mhm.
wanted to fix. And so that's where I learned my work ethic, and that's where I learned where it's so important to build relationships with clients. Um, Early in my career, the only way I started out originally as a social worker, but I realized
Mhm.
that I had to sell in order to be a social worker. And so I shifted and started in the financial services industry. Later,
Mhm.
moved into tech sales, and I spent most of my career selling SaaS into life science and healthcare. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
ended up as a GM. I've been head of business development, head of customer success, and about 4 years ago, I started my coaching and training practice.
Got it. Got it. So amazing, amazing journey starting from social work to sales to customer success and then empowering so many people. This is something very, very unique. Cheryl, a follow on to that is what are those top 2 to 3 things if a newbie like me is joining a sales org? What are those 2 to 3 things that we should focus on? Like, as you mentioned, that is it relationship which matters the most, or the process in which you run the sales motion that matters the most, or what exactly matters the most to be successful in this role?
Okay. Well, so what I'm going to share with you is LinkedIn recently came out with a state of sales report that talked about
Okay.
the top skills that the top B2B buy sellers use. And I call them the 3 R's. So just like in the United States, when we're little, we learn about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Well, in
Mm-hmm.
sales, it's research, relationships, and write accounts. Those are your 3 R's. Research,
Okay.
relationships, write accounts. And I do have a handout that summarizes it. The report itself is about 47 pages long. Just you can find it on LinkedIn. It's an amazing report. They talk to sellers, B2B sellers all over the world. But to break it down, it is doing your research, immerse yourself in your client's world, build relationships, be deep and wide, multi-thread your relationships, and write accounts. Prioritize and make sure you're spending your time on the right accounts. And the amazing part for me about this is, Avi, what percentage of salespeople do you think actually do these 3 behaviors?
Uh, I think not more than 50%.
How about 17%?
Oh,
17% of B2B sellers actually practice these 3 habits. So whether you're new in sales, whether you've been in sales for a while and you're struggling to hit your quota, or even if you're hitting your quota and we're coming up on the end of summer, so most people are in that phase where we're gonna try to accelerate what we're doing. Focus on these 3 things. Immerse yourself in your client's world. Understand their product, understand their industry, understand the company. Connect with people, build relationships, build
yeah.
multi-thread your relationships, and spend some time segmenting and make sure you're focused on the right accounts.
Amazing insight. Like 3 hours. I'm going to definitely look for that report, going to summarize and going to float it across my sales org. Very valid. Cherilynn, to follow up to that, how do you think that there are like two kind of sales motion, right? Like there is a product led growth in an org, especially on the tech side, and then there is a
Right.
sales led growth. What's your GTM motion pick, right? If you have to pick something like how should someone pick the right go to market in the sales motion, like it's product led or sales led? Like can you give us like 2 to 3 examples, what has worked for you, what has not worked for you? A real life examples will help us understand better.
No, I understand. So I actually take a different approach. I take
Okay.
a buyer's first approach. I take a
Okay.
buyer's led. What I
Mm-hmm.
encourage people to do is do phenomenal discovery interviews. Because
Okay.
if you do an incredible discovery interview, you find out what is important to your clients. So when I first started in sales, Avi, I was taught we spend 20% of our time building a relationship with clients and 80% of our time selling. It was all
Mm-hmm.
sales led, sales led, sales led, sales led. And then it
Yep.
evolved to product. Understand your product, understand the benefits of your product, and then push and then sell your product. Well,
Hmm.
today 95% of buyers, 87% of buyers expect us to show up as trusted advisors. And
Oh.
B2B buyers are only spending 5% of their time during the
Mm-hmm.
buyer's journey with a professional seller. So because of the pandemic, buyers are doing their research. They're spending 95% of the buyer's journey by themselves doing their own research. So they know about the product. They know
Mm-hmm.
about the sales cycle. When they
Correct.
finally reach out to a salesperson, they want a trusted advisor. They want
Yep.
somebody who shows up with an opinion. They want somebody who shows up to help them avoid the landmines, to navigate the things that they don't understand. So I don't think it's about sales. I don't think it's about the product. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
about the buyer. And you want to be prepared so that when they get to that 5% and they're ready to buy, that you show up as a trusted advisor. And
Got
so
it.
a trusted advisor is trusted. And
Mm-hmm.
think about people that you trust. What do you look for?
Uh,
When you trust somebody, what do you look for?
I look for somebody who has used a product and who can guide me what are like pros and cons.
Okay.
Uh, that's one. And I will also look for if that fits my bill because
Okay.
everybody have the budgets.
Right.
That's the second part. Third part is will this product work or not?
Okay.
Will it fulfill the promise which they have promised?
Yeah.
So these are like broadly 2 to 3 things I will look for.
Yeah. So I look for, do I trust this? Is this product credible? Do I
Mhm.
trust this person? So when you think about trustworthiness, are they honest? Do they have integrity? Are they
Okay.
going to be transparent with me? So they're looking for trust. When you're looking for an advisor, you're looking for somebody that has a POV. And so one of the
Yeah.
things that I coach my clients on is developing a POV. And your POV is your point of view. And the easiest way to do that is imagine, Avi, if I just contacted you and said, I have an idea to run by you. When's the last time somebody's going to tell you, I don't want to hear your idea?
Yeah.
People lean in. So if you have an opinion, it doesn't have to be right or wrong. It's just an opinion. So if you reach
Exactly.
to your clients and you say, I have an idea to run by you, it's just your point of view. You're going to get so much more value and so much more credibility by having an opinion than if you don't. And that's what a trusted advisor is.
Got it. Got it. Very, very interesting POV, I must say. And Sharon, a follow on to that is, if I'm a buyer, if I wear a buyer's hat, where I can get, or where I should look for to get this trusted advisors? What are those places where I have to go to? Like, it can be LinkedIn, it can be YouTube. Like, what do you think? Like, where I should go for getting this trusted advisor advice from?
So I know so I run my business through LinkedIn,
Okay.
and I will tell you that I have major brands, and all of them came to me. I don't
Okay.
do outbound networking. I don't I don't do cold calling. I don't send cold emails to clients. Um, Amazon, T-Mobile, Samsung, Kawasaki. These brands have all come to me just from finding me as a subject matter expert on
Okay.
LinkedIn. So there's something called social proof, and social proof is how you prove who you are and what you know. And that can be YouTube, that can be LinkedIn, that can be Facebook. It doesn't matter what platform you use, but
Mm-hmm.
somewhere you have to prove that you are a subject matter expert. So post on LinkedIn. If you like videos, do YouTube. If you like Instagram or TikTok, that's fine. But you have to have a social presence.
Got
And
it.
um, I 4 years ago was scared to death of LinkedIn. For me, it was like, I'm going to tell you, you ever had that nightmare where someone's chasing you
Yeah.
at night and you're screaming? Okay,
Yes.
that's how I felt about LinkedIn. Not the knife, but the screaming. I would just be like, I can't post on LinkedIn. Well, I changed my paradigm. What I tell people is think of LinkedIn like walking in the park. So, Avi, when you walk in the park and you nod at somebody, what's one thing that they will do?
I'll just say hi. How are you? I have a conversation just like that.
Okay, so if you say hi to people, they could say hi back.
Yes.
They could ignore you,
Yeah.
or they could engage you and say, how are you? It's a beautiful day. Well, it's the
Exactly.
same thing on social media. You post on
Exactly.
LinkedIn, people will either
Hmm.
engage, they will ignore, or they will make a comment. But you know
Yeah.
what you do the next day? What do you do the next day? You go for another walk in the park, or you keep walking.
Ex-
Same thing on social media. Go post again. It doesn't matter. I can post and get 100 people engage my content. I can post and get 100,000 people to engage my content. Next day, I post again.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is one piece of advice which I'm going to take it personally. To be very honest, Sharon, I'm very very bad on posting on social media. I think I have to be there, present, and start posting. So social proofing is the key takeaway here.
It is.
Uh,
Because
going.
your clients are going to want to know what you think. Your clients are want to know you're the co-founder, you're a leader at this company. If
Mhm.
I'm looking for a trusted advisor, I want to see if I can trust you. I want to
Exactly.
see if you have the knowledge and the expertise. And Avi, you have so much knowledge. Share it. The thing
Exactly.
I love about LinkedIn is not only the place to network, it is an incredible knowledge sharing platform. But it only works if we all share our knowledge. So share your
Exactly.
knowledge. Don't worry about it. Don't try to figure out the LinkedIn algorithm because I promise you it changes just about the time everybody figures it out. So don't worry about it. Just post, share your knowledge. That's it.
Exactly. I love the walking in the park analogy where you said go there and say hi and people will engage with you.
They
Love
will.
that.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's it. And be authentic. Again, I do have a tip. sheet on how to ease your postings with
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn. I will share my handouts with you. I don't know if you have a blog or a spot on your website where people can get these, but anybody who's listening, again, connect with me on LinkedIn. I will share how to develop your POV. I will
Mm-hmm.
share how to ease into LinkedIn posts and how to improve your posting. Um, and I also have an ebook on how to be a trusted advisor. So all of those are available. Just hit me on LinkedIn, and I'll share you with you on LinkedIn.
Sure, sure. Looking forward to going through that, Cherilynn. A quick question going back to the topic, which is how to close fast and big, right? Like, how should we start on that topic, Cherilynn? Like how to close fast and big. Are there any frameworks do you recommend that one should follow? Number
Yeah.
one, are there
So
any playbooks, right?
okay.
Uh,
So the first framework that I recommend following is, I call it the 4 F's. And that is doing a good discovery interview. Because when you do an incredible discovery interview, you're not negotiating on price. You're not negotiating about, do they want this? Do they need this? Do they have enough money? You find all that up front. And the 4 F's are first, finest, failure, future. Because
okay.
first, finance, failure, future. Everybody has a first. So if
Yep.
I was meeting with a CTO, I might say something like, what was it like the first time you realized you had to come up with a strategy for your company? What was it, if they're new to the job, what was it like the first time you were in the job? If you've known them for a while, what was it like the first day of this quarter? What was it like as you get ready for the first day of Q4? Any first question, because everybody has a first.
Yep.
And listen, and have genuine curiosity. And so
Yep.
remember, it's not an interrogation. So you want to make a statement, ask a question. So you
Yep.
could make a statement by saying, I remember the first time I developed a strategy for my company. I was really overwhelmed. What was it like the first time you had to come up with a technology strategy for your team? It's a first question. After they ask that, ask the finest question. Everybody does something well. Ask them, when it comes to your MarTech strategy, what is your team doing right? What are you getting? What are you doing well? What are you proud of? Everybody loves to brag about what they're doing.
Exactly. Exactly.
The third question is failure. And I ask it as a positive. And I would say, Avi, you know, we all could do something better. When it comes to MarTech, Avi, what do you wish your team could do better?
Yep.
And let them talk. And the other thing that I encourage salespeople to do is use the golden rule, the 4-second rule. When you ask a client a question, say 1001, 1002,
Mm-hmm.
1003, 1004 in your head, and be quiet. Let them answer. I love it when salespeople ask a question and then they answer for the client. Don't answer. Let there be
Okay.
a awkward silence. Let them answer.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
know what to say? Say and then be quiet again for 4 seconds. I promise you they will step into that.
Exactly.
And then the final question that you ask is future. And so if I ask you, Avi, if it was 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and you had the perfect MarTech solution, or your team was doing everything perfectly, what would it look like?
Got it.
Now,
Got
can you see that the client is ready to solution with you? You know what they're doing well. You know what they're struggling with. You know what the future looks like. You know what their first experience was like. You're now solutioning. You now can be an advisor. They're not going to argue with you about price or anything. Because you're helping them get to that future and you're helping them solution. So the biggest framework that I talk to people about is connect with the client, do a great discovery interview. And at the end of this discovery interview, you build a relationship, gives you a chance to do your research,
it. Hmm.
and it will also give you a chance to understand who else you need to connect with so that you can get multi-threaded. And now you have done your 3 behaviors.
Excellent. Excellent. I love the framework, which is 4 Fs. Yeah, I think many people, Sharon, I've seen that they miss out on this part. They usually do the one-way conversation,
Right.
which is like, let's say, if I'm a sales guy and I'm selling it to you, I do 70% of the talking. Ideally, it should be 30 and 70, right? Like you should talk for 30%. Obviously, the percentage can change, but you should talk less and let your prospect talk more and try to get more and more information. No, this is, and I like the framework. Cherilynn, one thing is which I usually come across, how to expedite the deal velocity, right? Like sometimes we have to create some sense of FOMO to the prospect to make sure that deals get closed faster.
Right.
And you have to create some sense of urgency. Right now, let's say if we had a very great discovery call and we have also identified the pain points which a prospect is having and we might be helping them, how do you think that what are those tips and traits to create those urgencies and creating that FOMO that, okay, I'm going to miss out if I'm not going to buy the solution? How do you think about it?
So if I'm selling a solution that I need urgency with, then when I ask that future question, I bring that time in. So if you could resolve this in 30 days, what would that look like? And so they will talk to you, and then you'll know what's important to them. Is it more revenue? Is it decreasing their expenses? Is it hitting their quota? Is it landing a bigger client? And so bring that future question in. So whether it's 30 days, 60 days, whatever timeline you need them to be, so you know very quickly. They've told you, I've got to land a new client in 30 days. They've told you, I've got to hit my quota by the end of the year. And so you can go back to them and say, let's make this happen so you can hit that quota by the end of the year. Let's make that happen so you can land this client in the next 30 days. Let's fix this problem. It's their problem. People want solutions. Come to the table as a problem solver. Come to the table with solutions. Forget about your quota. Forget about your urgency. They will create the urgency for them. You just have to remind them about it. They created it. They told you where they wanted to be in 30 days. When I'm talking to companies about their training initiatives, and a client says to me, yeah, we're on track for this year, but we got to come out of the gate running in January. And so then my position is, so we need to look at a sales training program in October so that they can build it and that they're ready to hit the ground by January. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Well, there's my urgency. We have to train by October, which means we've got to start writing this in August. There's an urgency.
Got it.
And other companies will say, yeah, our fiscal year doesn't end till April, and our final Q is our biggest push. So February, March, April, you want people ready by February. Well, let's look at putting this in place January 1, so they're ready to hit the running by February. So they will tell you what their timeline is. I don't think you can create a false sense of urgency for clients. If you're really solving their solution and somebody says to me, I don't need this till April, then I have to respect that. I can't create urgency in July if they really don't need it till April. But you will know what's important to them.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Lot of this was insightful. I think be the person who can solve the problem, be the problem solver, and do a very deep discovery and hit on their pain points.
Right.
Cherilynn, a follow on to that, right? Like most of the people in the sales side usually don't understand this quickly, right? So let's say if I'm somebody, a sales leader, let's say VP of sales or chief sales officer or a founder, how can I scout and what are the things which I should look in a sales rep who can be very, very successful? What are those qualities, to put it in simple terms, I should look in while hiring a sales rep?
All right. So I look for a couple things. So the first thing, I look for desire.
Okay.
Sales, everybody sells. And so what I look for is desire. I don't think I've not learned how to coach desire. I don't think you can train desire. You want to look for a salesperson who just has the desire to go out and build relationships and be a problem solver. Somebody who gets excited about that, gets up in the morning excited. I've been in sales my whole life. Every day I get up and think about, who can I help? How can I help more people? How can I solve problems? So I was talking to one of my clients, and he was saying, this guy on my team, he just keeps missing his goals and keep missing his goals. And I said, well, what is his desire? What does he really want to be? And he said, well, he really wants to be a fireman. I said, well, why is he selling tech solutions? He goes, because it makes more money. And I go, he will never, ever be a great salesperson because his desire is to put out fires. His desire is to be a fireman. I'm sorry that it doesn't pay like tech sales does, but you can't train that desire in him. So you're looking for somebody who has a desire. That's number one. Number two, people I believe who have a growth mindset are happier. People who are committed to growth, people who are committed to that constant, never-ending growth and learning. People are the people who are coachable. And like I said, when I first started in sales, we were focused on the sales process. Then we were focused on the product. Today, we're focused on relationships. If you can't grow and learn, there are people out there who are still selling by features and benefits with products. Doesn't work anymore because all of that a client can find online. And I trust you, they know all the features and benefits of your product before you ever have a conversation with them. So you're looking for a growth mindset. You're looking for somebody who will grow, somebody who does that. And the third thing, and I always encourage people when you're interviewing, success leaves clues. Doesn't matter what job they were, ask them, tell me about a time that you did this. Tell me about a time that you did this. And what you're listening for is that success, the success. People who are successful will continue to be successful. So you're looking for somebody who has a growth mindset, somebody who has a desire, and someone who has a growth mindset will be high performing. They will exceed their quota, and they will be a joy to work with.
Got it. Got it. Very, very, very useful insight, Cheryl. Uh, a follow on to that, sometimes in sales, right, you usually have a rough day. Think of it this way: somebody is a really good salesperson, like very high on desire, very high on performance, and all the characteristics we have mentioned, but somehow unable to close the quota for consecutive quarters. What, how do you deal with that? Like, let's say, as a salesperson, how should one deal with that? Because obviously in the sales, I think it's a roller coaster kind of a thing. Sometimes you have a very great quarters and sometimes like bad quarters. How one should deal with that?
So one of the things that I talk to sales managers about is something that I call the GROW model. GROW stands for goals, reality, options, and W is what will you do. And so I frequently talk to a sales professional and I will say, what is your goal? Okay. Now, sometimes people's goal is to just hit the quota. Sometimes people's goals are to close. So maybe their goal is not aligned with what your goal is. So you really want to talk to people about their goals because then you know about alignment. Some people will say, my goal is just to make enough money to cover my expenses. It has nothing to do with hitting quota. They're covering their expenses. So really get clear with them around their goals because it may be just as simple as realigning their goals will help them do it. The next one is their reality. Okay, so where are you? What is your reality? Because their reality, it may be my goal is to work 8 hours and I'm working 8 hours and I'm happy. So you want to talk to them about their reality, and that's the R. So that you're clear. So you're clear about, are they unhappy and not hitting their goals? If they're not, there's no desire there. So the second R is reality. The next one is option. So once you understand what their goals are and what the reality is, there's a gap. So you talk to them about what are your options to close that gap. So I would ask you, I'd say, Avi, your goal is to hit 100% of quota. Your reality is you're at 80% and you're a little annoyed with yourself about that. So what are some things that you could do to hit that? And then have them list out their options. And then you say to them, can I add some things to the list? And then this is where you can add, you might consider this and you might consider this. So a couple of things they may have missed, you might tell them, maybe make 10 more phone calls or follow up on leads or update your CRM or wherever you see the gap. And then the final, most important question is say, okay, we've got 10 options or 8 options here. The W is will. What will you do?
Exactly.
And then have them come up with a plan to do that. And then at the end of the call, what I always do with my team members is I kind of say, I'm really busy, have a lot going on. Will you do me a favor, Avi? Will you send me an email just summarizing what you discovered during our conversation and what you're going to do? because now they
No,
put in writing that they're going to do this. The next
exactly.
week when you meet with them, you open that email and I would say, Avi, last week you said you were going to do A, B, C, D. Where are you with this?
Got it.
Accountability is right there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And it's
Yeah.
different if they say, well, I want to do X, but I don't know how to do it. Well, then you have a coaching or a training opportunity. And so if they say they're going to do it and they don't do it, then you can talk about why they're not doing it. Are they afraid? Do they not know how? Are they too busy? A
Mm-hmm.
recent state of sales that talks about, I think, 70% of the time, sales reps are doing non-selling activities. They got to
Yeah.
stop. We have to stop that.
Yeah. This is from Salesforce, right? Like
Yeah.
non. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Salesforce has a state of sales report coming out tomorrow. I will be
Oh,
posting about it. They do this report once every 2 years. The brand new one will be coming out tomorrow. And so there'll be a lot of data in this. Like I said, LinkedIn's came out a couple months ago. If you just look up LinkedIn state of sales, they also had a report in 2022, but both of them have reports for this year.
got it. Got it. Got it. Interesting. Sharon, we are like almost about time. But one last question before we drop off. Very impressed with what you're doing at CGI Executive Coaching. Would love to learn more about how you are creating an impact with proven effective and accelerating sales cycle there. Like, can you give us like few nuggets in terms of what exactly how CGI executive coaching helps people to accelerate sales cycle and overall grooming on the sales persona?
Absolutely. So there's three things that I focus on. One is selling into the C-suite. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and you know this, the higher you go up an organization, the quicker the sale is and the larger the deal size is. So whether it's
Okay.
enterprise selling, whether you're breaking into a new account, you want to go higher up the organization. And so one of the things that I coach and train about is how to write email and LinkedIn messages that get opened, how to connect and do information interviews. Do an information interview with the executives.
Okay.
My favorite question that you can ask an executive is, what is your vision and how can I help you get there? So many times when we meet with people, we do an information interview, we want them to help me. No,
Yeah.
how can I help you? Can you imagine
Exactly.
if somebody contacted you and said, Abby, what's your vision and how can I help you get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So selling into the C-suite, getting comfortable being in the C-suite. How do you connect with people? One of my clients who's a B2B salesperson at T-Mobile went from middle of the pack with a 3 to 4% open rate. Her open rate went to 11 to 12%. She became the number one salesperson at T-Mobile for business by implementing some of these tactics. So
Wow.
it is selling into the C-suite. It is building a value proposition, understanding the C-suite. Number two, immersing yourself in your client's world. How to read a 10K, how to leverage information, and do your industry research. Doing a discovery call and then triangulate and pulling all three of these together to develop a POV. That's what I focus on.
Got it. Got it. Very, very interesting, Sharon. I think this was a great LinkedIn Live, and I'm taking away like a lot of learnings, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to implement it from tomorrow onwards because I myself do a lot of sales for Sprouts. So obviously, I'm going to summarize all of this and send a note to my team as well. Thank you so much for taking our time and talking to us. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And yeah, thank you so much for taking out and talking to us.
Well, thank you. And thank you to everybody who joined us or who's watching this live or watching this through the stream. It is always my pleasure. Again, connect with me on LinkedIn. If there was anything that I wrote about or I mentioned that you want, I will make sure that you get that handout. Abby, again, thank you to you and your team for giving me this chance to share my mission and my strategies. And I will definitely drop these handouts to you and your team.
All right. Looking forward to it.
All
Thanks,
right.
Sharon.
Thank you.